allow me to let you in on something. A truth, if you will. I love the Transformers movies, except for The Last Knight. That one's not very good. These films are all sloppily written, they have very little value besides the astounding visual effects in my opinion, but I still love them, and I kinda dig Michael Bay's ridiculous, over-the-top style. The man gets sexiness, no joke. Be it a good thing or a bad thing, his style is distinct and difficult to reproduce. This has all been said before, by the way, but what I will say is that I genuinely get intrigued when a Michael Bay movie comes out. And I'm especially intrigued when it's something pretty original, a project where Bay is able to let loose and not be restricted too much. It's great to see creators flex their creative muscles without restraint. Take Zack Snyder's work, for example. But at the same time, exercising some restraint is good. Deadpool, a film with a rather small budget of $60 million, had to make do with what it had and managed to squeeze every last drop of its budget. It even had money left over for some excellent marketing. That, I feel, is a good example of exercising restraint in some capacity. I think limitations in general make you think outside the box. So, why am I saying this? Why have I spent the last minute talking about artistic freedom and limitations? That's because Michael Bay's film, 6 Underground, is pure Bayhem. Unrestricted, unrestrained savagery. My next line should be, and I'm here for it, but I'm not here for it. This has to be in the top 10 or 20 worst films released in 2019.
He's so good with coming up with stuff.
So much of 6 Underground is practical. Michael's doing a ton of huge spectacle that's in camera.
With a budget of $150 million, a blockbuster budget, the film definitely looks it. 6 Underground looks sexy. But this is one of those times where the film most definitely doesn't feel sexy. This is easily one of the most numbing films I've ever seen. I think looking out your window might give you more value than sitting down and watching this movie. I put this movie on to watch with my parents, and I was so embarrassed for having put the film on. I am not joking, I felt like I was wasting their time. But you know what isn't a waste of time? The Shinri series' first book, Shobu Samurai Project Aryoku. This is today's sponsor, and this book is written by Terrence Shinri Johnson, a writer who's been working on this passion project for 10 years now. Project Aryoku is about the protagonist, Shobu Samurai, returning home 10 years after the death of his parents to save it from deadly enemies. Will he get his revenge? Will he save his home? What will he choose to do? Crafting a world and its own lore, the book is action, drama, tragedy, secret, government conspiracies. It's some dope stuff you do not want to miss. To get this book, all you have to do is go to the link in the description. There's links to buy it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. One more time, baby, just go to the link in the description to get Shobu Samurai Project Aryoku. Thank you so much, Shinri, for sponsoring today's video, and let's get on with the movie. Let me just show you the editing of this film. You're not ready. In a video by Patrick Willems on YouTube, he describes Michael Bay's use of quick-cut frenetic action as something that's more emotional and visceral rather than logical.
We submit to the extreme energy of the scene, absorbing the oddly beautiful destruction as fast as our brains can process it, with the character's big, clear reactions as our emotional anchor.
Personally, to me, that's not my cup of tea. Take, for example, this scene from Bad Boys 2, right? The protagonists are on a freeway, point A to point B. While edited frenetically, the scenario is so simple you understand it. Take Transformers Dark of the Moon. Where are they? A freeway. They have to get from point A to point B. It's easy. 6 Underground begins, and it drops the characters in a car in the middle of the action in the middle of Italy. Where are they in Italy? What is their destination? Whoa! It's alright for a film to begin with action. You can have an action sequence to establish characters and motivation easily, as well as hint at the story as a whole. But the problem is, not only is the movie's plot non-linear so you're confused for the first 30 minutes or so, not only is the action here really unclear so you can't really care or truly engage with it, but every character is the same. They all have attitudes, they're all crazy. The only thing that really separates them is slightly differing ideologies. For example, this crazy guy and this crazy gal, yeah, they both shoot things, and it's framed like they both have different skills. There's this one specific character whose whole point is to be like the healer, and she barely does this past the first act. And to describe these roles, the film goes full Suicide Squad and gives us this terrible graphic which tells us who is who. Now this can work, but it just doesn't work here, and it kills the pacing as well. The main characters are all assholes, and without anything to really attach ourselves to, if they all just died, I don't think anyone would care. Oh wait.
Nobody cares.
The protagonist of the film should have been Corey Hawkins' character, Seven, who's recruited to the team of heroes and falsifies his death. Now remember what I said about ideologies? Seven's ideology is the one most different from One's, who is Ryan Reynolds. One thinks the team should be just a group of separate people working together, a team where nobody knows each other's name, hence the numbers. Seven believes in not leaving team members behind and wants to know everyone's name. He's obviously correct, by the way, at least that's what the film is implying. So, this is interesting. This is a good dynamic that works, but it's resolved in like a minute.
I'm Blaine. I just saved your life.
Billy.
Javier.
Camille. Amelia.
Even One goes like, oh, okay, fine, you know? Now, this is actually terrible because that means that One's beliefs can be that easily swayed. So, does Ryan Reynolds' character actually believe in anything? Even worse than that, with zero character development other than being told he's wrong, at the very end, One decides to save one of his team members.
I am still a rich asshole. I just don't have a name.
What's your name, man?
Don't tell him.
5 minutes later.
I don't know my 20. Stay off the channel.
I'm going for 4. You're breaking your own rules. Thought you didn't have a family.
So what I'm saying is, One is the worst character in the entire film, and he's the protagonist. So this leads to the part where I talk about how this movie was advertised.
We had big explosions, cars flipping and tumbling, cars on fire.
Michael's doing a ton of huge spectacle that's in camera.
What the F was it like filming this thing in Italy?
Craziest car chase I think that has ever been committed to film. You have a high-speed chase, this day-glow green Alfa Romeo going 100 miles an hour. Justice. Always justice.
I like
Wow. I think that's the only scene that something doesn't explode.
What was it like working with him?
He's in there. He sort of sees it all in his head, and everyone else is in an absolute fog. You show up to set, nobody even knows where Michael is half the time.
And then we destroy it all.
There is so little about what the movie is truly about, what the movie wants to say, that I genuinely think this movie, like The Lion King 2019, works better as some sort of demo reel than an actual film. Everything's just Michael Bay is so good at exploding things.
My new movie, Six Underground, is so huge, you're gonna wanna watch it on a bigger, better Samsung QLED TV. Check out those explosions.
At making up action sequences.
Movie explosions.
But an explosion isn't an action sequence. An explosion is an event. A car chase is an event. An action sequence, to me, is truly made when you involve characters, and motivation, and emotion to said event. That's what makes a story. And this film, to me, makes emotional moments feel like an afterthought. Undercut by... Take the Transformers films. As bad as some are, even the worst ones, I feel like they're trying to say something.
I would lay down my life for you.
Not just Transformers.
I'm just lucky. You didn't make it.
Six Underground says nothing to me except, I am doing what I want to do. F*** you. And that's great. That's good. For Bay, I want him to keep on making what he wants to make. He should always have the freedom to create the works of art he chooses to. But I should also be given the freedom to critique and complain about said art. I think the dumbest thing about this film is its absolutely ridiculous portrayal of coups. The film showcases such an elementary approach to what a coup is. A dude just shows up on TV and says, "Let's fight, we need to revolt." And worse, they play a pop song during this inspiring call to action.
It's time for a revolution.
It's a good song.
No.
It's perfect.
This is the film equivalent of the Caitlyn Jenner Pepsi ad. The film wants to semi-talk about real-world issues, yet doesn't have the capacity to understand them. And even if they just simply wanted to use real-world issues as a backdrop to a cool action movie, that said action movie isn't even good, man. The action pretty much amounts to shots of people shooting off-camera. What's happening? I don't know. The only good fight scene to me is this one sequence I'm about to show you. That's it. The reason why is because you know who's going against who, and it's actually pretty cool looking. And let's not forget that mega magnet that is of course a very cool effect. I'm sure a lot of work went into it, but not only does it add nothing, it grinds the action to a halt to showcase epic slow-mo. As you can very clearly tell, I really, really, really don't like this movie. I want 2 hours of my life back, Michael Bay. This movie hurt to watch. I think maybe it's because I'm growing up and Michael Bay's awful humor just isn't funny to me anymore. Like, there's obviously the cool badass dude, the one normalish person, the absolute idiot that's just a whiny coward. It's pretty cool to see what Michael Bay can do when he's pretty much unrestrained. No movie would advertise like this if they didn't know about Michael Bay's tendency to explode things. So yes, I think Michael Bay was pretty much allowed to do whatever he wanted here, and it led to this disaster. I think this is the most Michael Bay a Michael Bay movie can get. If you think of it that way, you could say that this is the best Michael Bay movie. But for me, while I appreciate that, I don't want to see a good Michael Bay movie, I want to see a good movie. And to me, this was not a good movie, and because of that, I think it's Michael Bay's worst. Thanks so much Hollow Naruto 63 and Infernite yet again for the amazing fan art. So, thank you so much for watching the video. If you didn't know, I'm making an anime called Interstellar Ranger Commence. Check out the trailer and more in the description below. Out of all the patrons, I want to give a massive thank you to Mark Hastings, absolutely massive thank you, and he actually has the Patreon question of the video as well. What was your course in college, what facilities were there, and what work did you do throughout the year? It's a very interesting question. I've been studying pretty much computer animation, 3D computer animation in college. I had a lot of fun classes. I've actually enjoyed most of all the film-oriented classes more than anything. And what work do I have to do throughout the year? Well, this upcoming year, I have to prepare my thesis, and before then I've just been, animating. That's what I pretty much do. I do 3D animation. Hopefully I'm able to keep up with videos because thesis is going to be rough. And I know lots of people go and do thesis and they become sick, physically sick because of the stress. So that's never happened to me, so I hope it doesn't happen. But yeah, that's my answer to those questions. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Hope you come back to the table, and I'll see you all next time.